Imagine this. Somebody in your town has gone missing. The posters have been up for a few days, and the community whispers that they were last seen in the old abandoned building on the edge of town. You know the one. It's the focal point of a local legend. You and a few friends decide to go check it out, but by chance, it's just you and one other that go on the excursion. You hop the fence by the side entrance. Rusty hinges squeal and are suddenly silenced as you step beyond the threshold. The interior is dark, wind howls. You make your way to a fork in the building, and your friend hangs back as you explore the side rooms. Your footsteps clack too loudly on the concrete floors. In the first few rooms, you find nothing, but the stench is horrible. You're about to turn out of one of them, but then you see it, squatting in the darkness. Thin, pale, it turns towards you, eyes blazing. The thing lunges at you, and now you're pinned to the ground. Its fangs gleam in the fading light, but before it sinks its teeth into your flesh, the beast's mouth explodes in a shower of white phosphorescence.
Get down!
3 armored figures rush past you, firing purple tracers into the beast's flesh. One wields a silvery machete, and in a single strike, its head falls to the floor. Another turns towards you. Purple runes blaze across the surface of the combat armor. Gothic script covers the rifle. A hand extends forwards.
Don't worry, we're with the government. We are here to help.
Now, the secret government agency that fights against the supernatural is, let's be clear, a fucking cool trope. But why though? Well, it's reassuring for one. The idea that monsters lurk in every shadow, where goddamn hell is real, that there is a powerful, competent organization holding the line to keep everyday people safe. An organization full of brave heroes and top scientists, and they might do some messed up things, but they get the job done. Place faith in your betters. Don't look behind the veil. Don't think too hard about what's in the shadows or the sacrifices needed to preserve our way of life. Only the select few can be part of the protection squadron, a vanguard against the dark. Only the select few can become monster hunters. Cross-culturally, there is this idea that the people who interact with the other world aren't normal people like you and me. From priests and oracles to druids and shamans, people who deal with the mystical are somewhat magical. They live on the interstice between the secular world and those
friends on the other side.
In cultures across the world, the visions from epileptic seizures were seen as messages from the divine. Shamans commune with the supernatural to receive insight and ritual power.
And white light, the time of madness and disdain.
Many ancient Greek heroes are not just monster slayers, but demigods as well. These are people elevated above others to hold fast against the unnatural. There are, as well, various historical examples of monster hunters. The ancient Roman historian Josephus writes about a man named Eleazar who had the ability to exorcise evil spirits from the possessed. Fantastical retellings of Jean Castel's slaying of the beast of Gavaudan say that his bullets were imbued with the power of prayer. This is not to mention various inquisitions or witch hunters. In a fantastical world, there are many different types of threats. Beasts, demons, spirits, sorcerers, all problems requiring specific solutions. Who are you gonna call? I'll tell you. You need a fixer, a professional. You need someone who makes problems go away. You need a Monsters are a mainstay in the world of The Witcher. Ghouls roam battlefields, beasts attack villagers, and ghosts of the dead seemingly rise up from the earth. Witchers are the answer to these threats.
Stray children taught the ways of foul sorcery, their bodies mutated through blasphemous ritual.
Genetically modified humans with enhanced capabilities and magic. A vanguard against the dark. But being a Witcher is not a glorious calling. They are marked distinctively by their cat eyes and 2 swords, steel for humans and silver for monsters. Witchers are seen as filthy mutants and mercenary warriors who will only acquiesce to their duty when there is enough coin for them to take up the contract. As you walk around the various settlements of the continent, you're likely to pick up on harsh ambient dialogue, if not overt hostility from the general populace.
Then fuck off!
But nonetheless, the Witcher's work continues, back on the path. Within the game, one of the major types of side quests is Witcher contracts. These all follow the same general structure. You'll find a notice board with some sort of note scrawled on it. Good folk, I know there's a war on, and every man's got trouble enough on his own, but perhaps there's one of you who would help a father in need. You all surely know the well in the ruined village and the devil that guards it with a jealous fury. And if you don't know, well, come and ask and I'll tell you about it. Whoever drives that monster away from the well will get a fat purse full of gold. Just don't tarry, for it's an urgent matter. Odilon. You then talk to the person who gave the notice, and they yap vaguely about some sort of monster over yonder.
It's awful frightening. Awful.
So after looting them for everything they are worth, you make your way over to the scene of the crime, do some investigation, kill the monster, and return for your reward. GG, too easy. Sometimes you find out additional moral quandaries, like that the invading army killed a female griffin, and now a male griffin is terrorizing the countryside. Oops. This framing device, a sort of monster of the week thing, is also used within the books as Geralt goes on various adventures. But there's an interesting wrinkle to this. While there are other Witchers, Eskel, Lambert, Vesemir, just to name a few, Geralt isn't just any Witcher. He is Geralt of fucking Rivia. He is the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Destiny is a driving force within the book series, and Geralt always seems to find himself wrapped up in momentous events. It helps people believe that there's
an order to this horse shit.
But sometimes certain people are just destined for greatness.
Dad's on a hunting trip, and he hasn't been home in a few days.
The early seasons of Supernatural. The early seasons of largely follow a similar Monster of the Week formula as Sam and Dean Winchester travel throughout America.
You know, saving people, hunting things. The family business.
As set up in the pilot, most episodes have a prologue with a monster killing somebody, the brothers get wind of it, investigate it, and then dispatch the monster. Rinse and repeat. But despite being as American as apple pie, there are powerful forces swirling around the brothers. Over the course of the first season, it's revealed just how much of the Winchesters' childhood was subsumed by training.
And melting the silver into bullets? Man, Dean, we were raised like warriors.
And they are not alone. Hunters, while few in number, sometimes work together and share information. Much of their knowledge on the is collected in their father's journal. Sam and Dean regularly return to the journal for guidance on what they might be hunting and the clues it contains on their father's whereabouts. But knowledge is not the only thing required for protecting the people. I find the Winchester Journal in Geralt's Bestiary incredibly compelling. It provides guides on
Killing monsters.
but also gives a glimpse into the world of the unnatural. Both pull on real-life folklore, covering everything from Wendigos to werewolves. The way that Geralt can recite off academic information on necrophages, or that the Winchesters use rock salt shotgun shells to fight spirits is just damn cool. Our own reality is not without such text either. The Lesser Keys of Solomon provide extensive information on various princes of hell and how to summon them and bind them to your will. The Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of Witches, details the finding and persecution of various witches. Over the past several hundred years, it has led to quite a few witch burnings. Heretics, am I right? But despite immediate denunciation by the Catholic Church, the Malleus was used for centuries. These texts represent a systemization of dealing with the supernatural, more federal, if you would. Within the games, the School of the Wolf is not the only Witcher school, and in the later seasons of Supernatural, you learn about the Men of Letters. Geralt often interacts with heads of state, and in the first episode of Supernatural, Sam and Dean impersonate FBI agents to get closer to a crime scene. Kaer Morhen has lost the ability to make new Witchers. Hunters rely on newly radicalized survivors to continue their work as their numbers slowly dwindle. In these degenerate modern times, we know much and more about fighting the unnatural, but we have fallen from our glorious past. As the stories of The Witcher and Supernatural progress, the scope slowly creeps outwards until the entire fate of the world rests in the balance. Supernatural's 4th and 5th seasons deal with the literal apocalypse,
Lucifer has me bound to him.
and Witcher 3's final showdown is between Geralt and the interdimensional Wild Hunt. Discounting the narrative's later seasons and theorizing about the plot of the newly announced Witcher 4, what would future versions of Hunters and Witchers look like? Increased capabilities? More bureaucratization? Stronger logistical support? Less ethics? You can be the good guy.
Or the guy who saves the world. You can't be both.
I think that while Supernatural and Witcher don't match the secret government agency trope that well, they do provide a good starting point. The characters' stories provide a human perspective on monster hunting that is compelling. Logically progressing these settings forward move us closer to the trope, systematize knowledge about fighting the anomalous, task forces dispatched to deal with threats, personnel working around the clock on logistics. What if instead of an office or a school, you had something more? Systemic classifications, threat levels, something to build upon. What if you had a foundation? The SCP Foundation is an intergovernmental agency with the titular objective to secure, contain, and protect the anomalous. The Foundation has seemingly infinite resources, advanced capabilities, mobile task units, and several endgame exit strategies. It is a nearly platonic ideal of the trope. The central gimmick of the Foundation is its thousands of articles on anomalies. Articles contain classifications, containment procedures, and any additional logs that the Foundation scientists deem pertinent to the mission.
SCP-173. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Item SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door must be re-locked behind them. At all times, 2 persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and re-locked the container. Description: Move to Site-19, 1993. Origin is as of yet unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar, with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within a direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull or by strangulation. In the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures.
The Foundation aims to classify and contain thousands of anomalies. A statue that snaps your neck when you look away. A flesh-mutating bioweapon. An infinite IKEA. More modern catalogs continue to stratify the anomalous. Instead of just an object class, modern convention encourages classification for required clearance, containability, disruption, and risk factor. Articles are meant to be written in a cold, clinical voice. But surprise, surprise, when the whole gimmick of your IP is about shining a big fucking light on the unknown, you see some cracks in the Foundation. Tonally, SCP is all over the place, but remains overwhelmingly cynical. Ostensibly, while the Foundation's mission is to protect humanity, they are very self-serving. Depending on the writer, the Foundation can be callous, capable, or comically incompetent. I mean, let's be objective here. When your entire shtick is about containing horrible monsters, the only interesting stories that you can tell are, what? Look at this fucked up thing that the Foundation keeps a lid on. I'm looking at you, SCP-939, and 2.
Oh my god, that horrible thing with the Foundation kept a lid on has gotten loose and we're all gonna die.
Naturally, containing anomalies means that SCP Foundation does a lot of fucked up shit, but it's for the sake of humanity's survival, right? Some articles seem to try to outdo one another, and it's an old joke that many early SCPs are just things that kill you. Okay. Item number. SCP-TTKUJ. That means it's a joke entry. Object class, Keter, because it can and will kill you. And then we're going to skip over containment procedures for obvious reasons. Description. SCP-TTKUJ is a thing that kills you. Though murder is an illegal action in every national jurisdiction on Earth, condemned in most religious scriptures, and generally looked down upon, SCP-TTKUJ is an entity that has no regard against killing you and has the means to do so in multiple ways, including, but not limited to, use of a weapon to kill you, use of a torture device to torture you, then kill you, use of its own bare redacted to kill you, enlisting the aid of different thing that kills you as a means to kill you, killing you until your life functions cease, then continuing to kill you, giving you a hug, which is then crossed out, use of anomalous means to kill you, and data expunged blank blank you. Because of this lowest common denominator, the best SCP articles are generally the ones that seek to tell more emotional stories or flaunt convention. For a good example, look up ... No, I'm not going to say it aloud for obvious reasons. But does SCP do the secret government agency which fights against the supernatural trope well? Sort of. The narrative quality varies wildly, but the world is interesting. There are multiple factions outside of the Foundation, thousands of anomalies, and several cross-canon characters. There are many short stories called tales, which are in my opinion some of the best part of the universe. They tell concrete, human stories in a world of the anomalous. Organizations, even secret organizations, are nothing without notable personnel. While the Foundation does have the shadowy O5 Council, much more has been written on Dr. Bright. Dr. Jack Bright is a Foundation scientist bound to SCP-963, an amulet which transforms the wearer into Dr. Jack Bright, making him an effectively immortal body hopper that the Foundation keeps around because he's more useful outside of a cell than inside one. But let's be clear here. I don't give a shit about Dr. Jack Bright. Allow me to introduce you to Lord Theodore Blackwood, 8th Viscount of Westminster, an eccentric Victorian-era explorer and gentleman with numerous encounters with the supernatural. Given the chance, he will go at length about his Tarrasque hunt in France, an encounter with the hairy apes of the western United States, or even an expedition to another world. All of the former communicated telepathically from the body of a sea slug within Foundation confinement. The slug seems completely oblivious to its current predicament. Now, not only do the Lord Blackwood tales written by Smapty balance fantasy adventure pulp with the horrors of the SCP universe, but they get another important part of the trope. You want the stories to be hopeful, uplifting even. Remember, the appeal lies in the vanguard against the dark. While Lord Blackwood's adventures are not directly affiliated with the SCP Foundation, he benefits from a lot of the same trappings. Advanced technology, knowledge, unlimited resources. He's exactly what you would want from an agent. Sucks that he's a snail though. One of the reasons why the SCP Foundation kind of fails at the trope is because the character stories aren't really there. At face value, it's just serialized articles on inhuman horrors beyond imagination. It's a horror setting, but there's not enough to balance against the darkness. You have to have people on the front lines, a protection squadron, a vanguard against the dark. You need them to be paragons, unyielding. They will need to be strong. They will need to be resilient. They will need to be...
Guess who's finally getting his powers?
Are you...
Okay, there. We did it. We're done. Back to the video. Fundamentally, witchers, hunters, and superheroes are similar archetypes. They are extraordinary people who stand between normal people and the forces of evil. The select few holding the thin line.
Fuck off! I got this. Swearing doesn't make you cool.
But the tone of this is affected by the setting. Many superheroes have secret identities, but witchers and hunters hardly think of retirement. The Punisher and Rorschach are much closer to monster hunters than superheroes. Superheroes do defend against evil, but monster hunters match the thin line archetype much better. However, within the world of Invincible, superheroes are not the only line of defense. The Global Defense Agency, or GDA, is everything that a secret government agency promises. Ostensible relation to world governments, mobile task units, memorable characters, nearly limitless resources, and of course, its existence is a secret.
That's enough. Lights.
But unlike the SCP Foundation, the GDA is without cynicism. Director Cecil Stedman is unambiguously on humanity's side. He's practical, callous, pragmatic even, but he is unaffected by politics, corporate interests, or personal vice. He doesn't even think highly of himself.
We can be the good guys, or we can be the guys that save the world.
He and the GDA hold the line, support the public-facing superheroes, and keep at least one Hail Mary ready at all times. So, do Invincible and the GDA do the secret government agency trope? Well, yes. Invincible is a very character-driven story, and the GDA is a vessel for telling those stories. Characters' actions matter, and unlike SCP, the trope itself is not the end goal. Now, is Invincible dark? Yes, unambiguously so. There is a lot of fucking gore, but that is used to emphasize the fragility of human life and then the strength of the heroes. Like in Berserk. Fuck. Am I gonna compare Invincible to Berserk? Violence in a dark world elevate character narrative, like in Men in Black and Van Helsing, both of which have comedic bends to them. The trope is done well, and unsurprisingly, it's hard to tell good stories when you're dealing with the secret government agency that fights against the supernatural trope. You have to balance stakes, the working of the organization itself, the magic system, the character narratives, and all the while, you know, having something to say. So, what do the characters at the GDA tell us? What does fighting against the darkness do to you? The robot is horrifying. He starts as a member of the teen team and worms his way into the Guardians of the Globe. Not to mention Rex. This fucking engram did him dirty. He stole his look, his name, and still hasn't come clean to the rest of the Guardians about how he did it.
I know what you are!
And I've watched the entire Comics Explained Invincible series, so I know what you become. Rudy thinks that because he's smart, because he can control his fear response, that the rules don't apply to him. Cecil has reformed killers work for him, and somehow, Rex Robot is the most corrupt person at the GDA.
Invincible is the most powerful superhero on the planet, and someday, I might need him on my side.
You're not listening! This isn't about me!
Powerplex wasn't radicalized because he just went crazy, but because he was forced to engage with the everyday reality of the GDA. Powerplex saw the concrete consequences of chaos within his world and wanted to make a difference.
I want justice! I want...
He struck back against monumental threats with any means necessary. He's an ideologue, plain and simple. Powerplex's most dangerous characteristic is not his electrical abilities, but the fact that he is a zealot. No collateral damage, no death, no cost is too great when he is fighting evil.
When will it be enough?
In his various monologues, he doesn't aggrandize himself.
I said I didn't want to fight!
Cecil Stedman is the leadership that the GDA needs. Sure, he spies on his own heroes, demands loyalty, and is always looking for some future edge.
And after what your dad put us through, you're goddamn right I did.
But when faced with the darkness, Cecil accepts that he will have to sacrifice his own morals in order to keep people safe. That end justifies the means. But he is vindicated. Sinclair is an evil scientist, sure, but newly reformed, and his reanimen provide the muscle the GDA needs. Powerplex is kept alive and puts in work during the Invincible War. Donald is only a few armor plates away from being a 40k dreadnought. When the chips are down, the new Darkwing sacrifices himself. Consistently, the GDA brings out people's true nature. Cecil is pragmatic. Donald is self-sacrificing. Immortal is outclassed by Omni-Man. Robot is an authoritarian nightmare just waiting to happen. But these character stories are still really compelling. I think it's cool as shit how Rudy combines science and magic to outsmart Monster Girl's curse. That Cecil will just as easily summon dark powers from hell as call in a space laser. The GDA's use of all manner of personnel and techniques to fight against the darkness is just great. Do they do bad things? For sure. I mean, who doesn't? And it wasn't really their fault anyways. They're just trying to protect the people of Earth. You would do the same thing in their position. Imagine the sales pitch to become a member of the GDA task force. Hell, a member of any secret government agency fighting against the supernatural. I mean, besides for the benefits, of course, because whew, baby, you thought being a cop had its perks. Keep the soil of Earth free, protect the human race, red blood, black soil, advanced technologies, magic, superpowers, the occult, anything to keep our people safe. You'll need sick uniforms too, black for that tactical look, runes of power emblazoned across the surface, big leather trench coats, signet rings, skull and crossbones, armbands. Wait a minute. I feel fucking sick having made that. But you get the point. Onwards.
Nazis. I hate these guys.
Despite what you might think from Indiana Jones, the Ahnenerbe was a very real organization. Literally translated as
ancestral heritage.
It was a government-funded think tank of academics devoted to scientifically proving the superiority of the Aryan race. They engaged in all types of research, and I use that term loosely. They investigated indigenous Nordic farming practices,
skull shapes,
artifact requisition,
world ice theory,
archaeology,
an expedition to Tibet looking for the entrance to Agartha.
There's also a bunch of crazy shit that they wanted to get to, but ended up failing at because, you know, fascism. Such as retrieving a copy of the Codex Icinus, the copy of Tacitus's Germania, into possession of one Count Aurelio Baldeschi Guglielmi Baliani. Tacitus's Germania famously tells the story of Arminius, a Roman traitor who caused the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, which led to the deaths of almost 20,000 Roman soldiers, the loss of 3 eagles, and handily ending Augustus's period of expansion. It's clear why he's a figure in German nationalism. Now, imagine you have that friend who got really into astrology, psychic readings, healing crystals, the whole shebang. Now make them a super racist within the Third Reich and give them more money than they know what to do with. It's pretty fitting that in Indiana Jones, the Ahnenerbe is looking for the Ark because, yeah, that seems pretty fitting for the type of shit that they would have gotten up to, but it was also much darker. Fascist leaders used the Ahnenerbe research to justify their evil and the Holocaust. Now, before I go on, I want to briefly talk about fascism, namely anti-intellectualism within fascism. Fascists do not give a shit about the truth. They do not care about facts or logic or being right. They hate you, and they want you dead. That's all. They cling to any data that can be misconstrued to support their arguments. They might couch their positions in the guise of academic insight, but they're lying to you. And while only a select few might be waking up every morning with hate in their hearts, everyone else is still complicit. I don't blame the career academics or the archaeologists in Nazi Germany who had to take the Reichsmarks because it was the only way to continue the work that they had devoted their lives to. But I pity them. Otto Rahn was a German medievalist who just wanted to find the Holy Grail. In his published writing, Crusade Against the Grail, Rahn links the provenance of the Holy Grail to several French wars. Naturally, Himmler gets news of this. Now, Himmler, a noted occultism fanboy who would probably be some Discord mod today, was head of the SS. Oof. Now, while Rahn joined the SS and is described as being entirely devoted to Himmler, he was gay, and then served as a guard at Dachau for a time as a punitive assignment. In February of 1939, he formally resigned from the SS and was found dead in a ravine a month later. His suicide, if it can be called that, remains undetermined to this day. There are various other tales from the fascist rule of Germany. Eric Kurlander's book, Hitler's Monsters, does an excellent job talking about it, but there's something there that we can't forget. The archetype of being that thin line that protects everyday people from the horrors of the outside. Yeah, fascists love that shit. The SS, or Schutzstaffel, was one of the preeminent paramilitary organizations within the Third Reich, directly controlled by Himmler. Its responsibility for the Holocaust, war crimes, crimes against humanity, is thoroughly documented. But as mentioned previously, Himmler was a lifelong magic fanboy. Astrology, magic, alchemy, superpowers, the occult. While the SS was one of the government's strongest tools for state terrorism, it was not spiritually secular. The SS uniform is covered in death's heads, symbolizing the wearer's willingness to die for the state, in various Germanic runes created by Guido von List, a thinker on Ariosophy which preluded Nazism. Within the fascist mythology, the SS officers were elevated as the highest ideal of the Aryan man, the bulwark against all threats opposing Germany. Their initiation rituals were steeped in magical symbolism, and Himmler himself officiated pagan-style weddings for certain officers. While there might not have been literal supernatural threats facing Nazi Germany, the fascist fervor depicts their struggle as something of a similar magnitude. Continuous rhetoric about degenerates poisoning German blood, comparisons between Jews and vampires, a glorious return to the forgotten folk knowledge of the Aryan people, was all used as justification. If it's not a continuous fight for survival, how could you justify doing such horrible things? While Nazi Germany did not have an archetypical secret government organization fighting against the supernatural, the roles of the SS officers and Ahnenerbe researchers filled that niche. I don't know how many true believers there were within the estimated 52,000 SS officers in 1933, but many of them thought they were holding back the tide of threats that threatened their way of life. A vanguard. against the dark. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the trope that we've been talking about this whole time. The idea that there's a strong few keeping us safe while the world becomes a darker place is cool. It's compelling. It's comforting. People need to get the job done. You can either save the world, or you can be the good guy. Witcher 3 and the story of Geralt of Rivia will always be one of my favorite games. Supernatural was incredibly formative for me, and from it I carry along an interest in folklore and horror. Even years later, the mystery of SCP's world makes me feel things. I love this trope. I love these types of stories, and I'm not just telling you to avoid it or hate it, just to be mindful. If you really think you are God's strongest soldier fighting against the forces of chaos, well, I'd remind you that 40k is meant to be satirical, and it's probably not a good ethos to bring to law enforcement. It's easy to forget about what it's all about, protecting people, and not hating others. But the allure is still there, the vanguard against the dark, using any means necessary to fight back against the encroaching chaos. We just need to remember what we're actually fighting for, who we're actually fighting for. Thank you for watching. Okay, so thank you for watching. This is probably going to be my longest, most extensive video essay yet, so if you're still here by the end, you're a real one, and don't forget to like and subscribe, I guess, but, you know. The idea for this video essay mainly came from when I watched Invincible Season 3, and I wanted to talk about it, and then it kind of ballooned into whatever you see now. As someone once said to me, there's a lot of guac on that chip. In fact, this video was so long that it forced me to change my upload schedule. I hope this is going to be uploaded a week and a half from when this in person is being recorded, but we'll see. I have a fun idea for the next video, namely, it's about customization in Elden Ring again. Surprise, surprise, Whispering Wheel talks about another From Software title. But in the meantime, stay safe and live well. Thank you for watching.